As you can see, things are a little bit different in the games room at the moment. My games room has been almost entirely taken over by boxes of mead. Tasty, tasty mead, is worth me saying. But yes, my wife, as well as my day job and making excitable YouTube videos, I also help my wife with her side business, which is making mead. I don't know what YouTube's rules are with regards to advertising alcohol, so I shall say no more about it. If you have any questions, you can always drop me a line. As the description for this video suggests, this video is going to be all about my New Year's resolutions going forward for the channel. But first, there is quite a lot that it is worth saying with regards to Warhammer the Old World. Since last we spoke, there have been 3 Warhammer the Old World round tables that have been put out, kind of just giving some background information about the Old World release. And also, we've had price lists come up for the different things that are going to be available on new release day. And also, just today, Games Workshop finally published a list of base sizes for pretty much every unit that's out there. I'll throw a brief screenshot up in a minute and it can just scroll past, but in essence, this wasn't kind of a big, excitable Warhammer community thing. This was just the Warhammer events team presumably finally getting the green light and responding to a question on the Warhammer the Old World Facebook group and going, oh yeah, by the way, here are all the base sizes. My friend Bobby, who is over on Arbiter Ian's Tale of Four Gamers series, has helpfully compiled a full spreadsheet detailing all of the different base sizes that are going to be available for the different armies going forward. So if you are of a mind to start a new army, or if you want to get your hand in rebasing, then finally you will know what base sizes you need. I've actually been leaning towards still doing my base sizes the same as I did for kind of 5th and 6th, and then just maybe investing in one of the various 3D printed little pucks that you can sit the bases in to make them up to the right size. So maybe I'll just base up one set of those for the whole of the possible army combinations that I've got, and then I can just slot and insert whichever army I happen to be using for Warhammer the Old World at the time, whilst keeping everything else nicely sized up and based for when I want to play 5th and 6th edition, which I do still want to keep playing. But yeah, let's just briefly, before I get on to my New Year's resolution stuff, let's briefly talk about all the kind of stuff that they've revealed as part of the round tables and about the release pre-order stuff. So, I mean, as we thought, we're getting a re-release of the Shabti, we're getting a re-release of the Tomb Guard, the Sepulchral Stalkers, the Necrosphinx. There's a whole bunch of stuff, and what we've had confirmation is that anything that was previously kind of fine-cast resin, and I use the word resin loosely there, is now going to be re-released in metal. Does this mean I'm a little disappointed that we didn't get a multi-part Shabti kit like they're doing the multi-part Bretonnian Knights on Foot? Yeah, I'll be honest, a little bit, but I'm still excited to see what else we get re-released in terms of things like Carrion, or we've seen the new Tomb Swarms. One of the things I want to mention I love about the new Tomb Swarms. So here is a picture of the new Tomb Swarms that have been released. I'm assuming this is either a resin or plastic kit, Forge World resin or plastic, and compare it to, this is a picture of the metal Tomb Swarms that were released when Tomb Kings were first released. It's the same skeleton. I'll put them up side by side. The same skeleton that's kind of been crawling for its life through the Tomb Swarm has been swept forward, or backward, I suppose, into the Old World, which I think is quite cool. That's a nice little kind of design homage. But beyond that, we've got a confirmation of re-release of all the stuff that I kind of thought we would get a re-release of way back ago when I did my speculative what unit models are going to be re-released set. So, things I'm most excited about, the Grail Knight's getting re-released, the Questing Knight's getting re-released. I won't have to pay £300 on eBay for a set of Questing Knights, instead I can just pay £100 to Games Workshop for a set of Questing Knights. But more than that, the Bretonnian Mounted Squires are getting a re-release. I am very pleased about that, because I've got a set of those, but I've only got 5, and it's great to be able to now bulk it out with some more or add some more units, so that when I get round to playing Circle of Blood, I'll have all the kind of Knights Errant, I can't think what I'm for, Mounted Squires that I need. That's really cool. want to talk now a little bit about what they've said in some of the round tables. So a lot of what they've said in the round tables is about how they chose the era that they wanted to set about. And I think what's quite interesting is they talked about essentially trying to isolate what is the Great Crusade moment of Warhammer the Old World. What is the Horus Heresy moment of Warhammer the Old World? And they've picked the Siege of Prague, and their reasoning behind it is quite interesting. So whereas if I was asked to pick what is kind of the Great Crusade moment of Warhammer the Old World, I'd probably say something like the founding of Sigmar's Empire, or the War of the Beard, or something of that nature that was comparable to like the Horus Heresy or the Great Crusade. The argument for why they have chosen the era leading up to the Siege of Prague is they suggest that this is essentially the peak of Warhammer the Old World before it begins its slow 2-century decline into the eventual apocalypse and the end times. That it was the fall of Prague, albeit that Asavar Kul was defeated in Kislev, that eventually that great war against Chaos was won. And I would argue that actually strengthened the Empire after that. Teclis helped found the colleges of magic. The Empire, after centuries of civil war, was united under Magnus the Pious. Even the corrupt ruins of Mordheim were destroyed by Magnus the Pious. So I would argue that actually, rather than it being the beginning of the end for Sigmar's Empire, in many respects, the Siege of Prague was the highest point, or the pinnacle, of Sigmar's Empire. It led to Sigmar's Empire entering its Great Golden Age before the inevitable decline after the passing of Magnus the Pious. But yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it, and I'm really intrigued to know that that's how they chose the time period that they wanted to set the game. But also, the things that they have mentioned in the round table that excite me are, first and foremost, they've mentioned a couple of special characters. So we knew the Cetra model was coming back out. That's up on pre-order as of this Saturday. No new Cetra model, it would seem, just a re-release of the classic Cetra the Imperishable model, which is fine, because it's a lovely model, and I'd probably pick one of those up at some point, because he's such a cool model. But also they mentioned a re-release of the Green Knight model, which is great, because I don't have that, and I want it to round out the special characters for my 5th edition Bretonnian army, which I've got pretty much all the rest of the special characters they released back at that time. Now, once I managed to get my hands on a copy of Repanse de Lyonesse, which I did recently, just before Christmas, I've got pretty much all the special character models they released now for that era, except for the Green Knight. So, yay! Yay for me. But beyond that, what they mentioned when they were talking about special characters was what they had planned going forward for Warhammer the Old World, and it includes 2 words that make my heart sing: campaign books. Yes! So I had already speculated that the focus upon the Border Princes, the fact that we've got all this different heraldry from the interactive map about the Border Princes, and the fact that they've said that essentially the reason they've picked this era is that Cetra's invasion of the Border Princes, Cetra's great, kind of last great invasion before he is pushed back by the Crusades of the Bretonnians, and eventually then the decline of Khemri and Nagash and everything else. That's got to be a campaign book right there. I am desperately hoping so. But also, what they said, going beyond that, they said that they would be releasing other campaign books, but it wouldn't necessarily be going in chronological order. It wouldn't be going, okay, 2276, now let's do a next thing after that, and after that, and after that, up until the Siege of Prague. That they would be leaping around. Battle of Finneville Plain, anyone? High Elves and, how do you introduce the Dark Elves into Warhammer the Old World with their own army list in due course? Why? A Battle of Finneville Plain campaign pack. I would be gobsmacked if they didn't have that in mind. But other ones that they could do Beastmen versus Wood Elves. They could just redo, like, Perilous Quest, if they decided to just re-release Perilous Quest. And go, here's the Bretonnians, oh, by the way, we're re-releasing the Wood Elves, and here's the rules for Perilous Quest. Dramatic fainting. With all that in mind, I think it is looking good for the pre-orders of Warhammer the Old World, which go up for pre-order this Saturday. This will be a 2-week pre-order window. We don't know yet when the other armies are going to get pre-ordered. So we know that some of the returning units for Bretonnians and Tomb Kings are going up for pre-order this weekend at the same time as the new box sets for the kind of all army in a box Bretonnians, all army in a box Tomb Kings. What we don't know yet is when the returning units for things like Empire Orcs, Dwarves, High Elves, Wood Elves, anything else that's missing, we don't yet know when those will go up on pre-order. Now, whether that is, as I'm hoping, this Saturday, and they go, oh, by the way, here's the Ravening Hordes book, here's the Forces of Fantasy book, and here is a pre-order for everything that's in those books, which would be brilliant. Or whether they'll go, here's the books if you've got existing High Elf or Empire armies and so forth. Now, in the next quarter or two, we are going to release the pamphlets, the Booklet of Glory, or whatever that's how it's called, books for Empire, Dwarves, Orcs. And my money, by the way, would be Orcs, Dwarves as a combo, and maybe Beasts, Wood Elves as a combo, then maybe Chaos, Empire, and High Elves as standalones. Just throwing that out there, see if I'm proved right. But whether they release the returning models as they release those additional pamphlets of glory, who knows? We shall have to wait and see. Whew. There is a few people doing the rounds at the moment. It seems like it's always the way. Every time something good happens, there are people who have to run around going, oh my God, it's going to be awful. It's the world is falling. Repent. Funny enough, it does compare somewhat to the flagellants of the Empire running around whipping themselves and screaming repent. There is a rumour going around that Games Workshop have yet again stuffed up the amount of stuff that's going to be available, and that pre-orders will go up and disappear. I would be very surprised. Now, the stuff that I've been seeing is people reporting back that they've spoken to their local local flagship stores, to not Games Workshops, but independent retailers, and have been told that those independent retailers had pre-order amounts that have suddenly now been reduced to zero. I can believe that might have happened. What I would speculate is if they are now anticipating a greater demand for Warhammer the Old World, which, frankly, I mean, they should be expecting us to like beat down the doors of the battering ram. It should be like Warhammer Siege at my local Warhammer store this Saturday, trying to get in there and get our hands on copies. But if they are anticipating that the pre-orders through their web store are going to be greater than they perhaps otherwise had prepared for, I can imagine that they might have withdrawn the offer to supply to independent retailers in order to preserve sufficient stock that they can have enough pre-orders to roll out through the web store. What I can equally imagine might happen will be is that once they've got an idea of the initial rush of pre-orders in the next 7 days, that they may then make some of that pre-order stock re-available to the independent retailers. What I would say is this: if, like me, you are desperate to get your hands on a copy of Warhammer the Old World, you haven't already been fortunate enough to have a copy sent to you by Games Workshop to preview, would you look at the camera, then go to the Games Workshop website this Saturday, 10 o'clock, Greenwich Mean Time. I would suspect that the queuing system will be in place, so you might have to wait a few minutes to get in, but that, I would suggest, is probably the best way to guarantee yourself a copy of the game on pre-order, rather than desperately hoping that your local independent stockist will have it for less money. It might cost you a bit more money in the long run, but it depends, I suppose, on how desperate you are to have it in your grubby little mitts on the 20th of January. Like me, I'm desperate to get it that weekend because I want to crack it open, and Michael and I have already got plans to hopefully film, maybe even live stream, a initial battle report of it the release weekend. Keep an eye on the channel for more information about that. I want to move on now then to what is coming for the channel for the beginning year. So anyone, and I think only like 200 of you who watched my New Year's resolution video last year will know that my New Year's resolution for last year was to manage 1 video per week for the entire year. And I did it! Mission accomplished! So that is the end. No, I'm joking. I'm not going to give up now. I did successfully achieve that, and I am quite pleased with it. So, what I want to do now is, rather than making another bold thing, like I'm going to go 2 videos a week, because I can't manage 2 videos a week on a regular. Sometimes there will be 2 videos a week if something particularly exciting, or probably Old World, or, you know, if they suddenly re-release Mordheim, God help me, there'll be videos coming out, I'll be just going, ah! Every day there'll be me screaming videos, or Battlefleet Gothic, there'll be me screaming videos into the camera. But I will continue to do 1 video a week, barring terrible illness or natural disaster or other things happening. What I want to talk to you a bit now is what is coming then for the upcoming year on this channel. So, first and foremost, what I want to try and do is more battle reports. That seems to be very popular with people. People seem to enjoy watching my battle report videos. As I've mentioned, Michael and I are going to try and film a Warhammer the Old World battle report, hopefully release weekend. If we can't manage release weekend, then maybe in the first week, so that there'll be one up there. I'm sure there will not be a shortage of battle report videos. Certainly there's one up on Warhammer Plus at the moment. It's well worth a watch. There's a load of sneaky peeks of different rules available there. But beyond that, I want to keep trying to do battle reports for 5th edition Fantasy, 6th edition Fantasy. I want to continue my 3rd edition 40k playthrough the Battle for Messina 4, the Storm of Vengeance campaign with Mike. We're going to try and finish that off over the course of this year. I also want to do battle reports for some of the specialist games. So, once Lee and I have filmed our next building Mordheim video and built me a Skaven warband, I would love to do a Mordheim battle report. I am now almost finished painting my Eldar fleet for Battlefleet Gothic, so coming soon in the early half of this year, Battlefleet Gothic battle report videos. Yay! I get to play Battlefleet Gothic, that makes me very happy. Beyond that, though, there's really what I want to do is throw open to you, the audience. There's a whole bunch of ideas that I've got that I'd love to film for this channel, and I think probably the most sensible thing I do is if I pitch them to you here, and then I'm going to, please, let me know in the comments below, but in particular, I'm going to throw up a poll over on my Patreon, and anyone who wants to join my Patreon can vote there to influence what is going to be coming to the channel over the course of this year. So, without further ado, here is my pitch. I am going to play through at least one of the classic Warhammer Fantasy 5th edition campaign packs. So I know I've already jabbered about this and said repeatedly that I want to do this, and Bobby and I have got plans to do one, and Michael and I have got plans to do another. I want to play through, at the very least, either all 4 games of Circle of Blood, so that's Bretonnians versus Vampire Counts Undead, or all 4 games of Grudge of Drong, so that's High Elves versus Dwarves. As you might imagine, High Elves and Dwarves, it will be against Michael. Against Vampire Counts, it will be against Bobby's beautiful vampire army. I throw it over to you, my subscribers and viewers and watchers and anybody else who just happens to have wandered by and wondered what the hell I'm doing sat in front of a bunch of boxes, gibbering into a camera. I'm going to throw up the poll over on my Patreon, and you can vote there which you would prefer to see above anything else. Circle of Blood or Grudge of Drong. Whichever one gets the most votes at the end of the poll, that will be the one I put my entire effort into getting the scenery built, get the army ready, and filming. And it'll be a big run, and then it'll be all 4 videos, once they're filmed, will be up available on the Patreon, and then we'll drip feed onto the channel over the sort of following months. That's the first kind of big thing I want to focus on. The other stuff that I would like to try and do, I'd like to try and do some of the White Dwarf refights I've talked about before. So again, this is battle report territory. I love the idea of refighting some of the battle reports that featured in White Dwarf in the golden age of White Dwarf when Paul Sawyer was the editor, and maybe play through, Glazier's Creek or the Battle of Sanctuary 101. Recreate the forces, maybe play them through in the edition of the game that was released then, maybe play them through in the most recent edition of the game, maybe play, Glazier's Creek using 10th edition 40k rules. Please, let me know in the comments below which you think would be cool, or any particular White Dwarf battle reports you'd like to see me refight. Beyond that, though, and this might put off some of my fans, I know I particularly tend to focus on nostalgic stuff here and older school games. I really quite like Age of Sigmar. I know it annoys a lot of people when I say that, but I really quite like Age of Sigmar. And in particular, one of the things I love at the moment that Lyle Lowry is doing with White Dwarf is every month he is publishing a special scenario. Essentially, we're getting a card insert. Like the good old days, we used to get card insert missions or card inserts of stuff in White Dwarf. Each month at the moment, White Dwarf is publishing 2 scenarios, a 40k scenario and an Age of Sigmar scenario. The White Dwarf Bunker Battles is how I'm thinking of them. I think it would be especially cool to play through each of the different sort of missions that White Dwarf are publishing each month, using exactly the same armies for each game. So to that end, I've got 1,000 points of Stormcast, 1,000 points of Nighthaunt that I am working on painting, and my plan is this. Michael and I, or whoever else feels like coming by and getting in a game, are going to, hopefully at least once a month, play a game of Age of Sigmar, playing one of the White Dwarf scenarios, using those 2 armies. The only thing that will change from battle to battle is the scenario we play. The armies will stay the same. So in that way, you will be able to see how effective each of those scenarios are. It won't be influenced by, hopefully won't be influenced too much by the armies that we're using. It might be influenced by our competency in using those armies, but it won't be influenced as such by the armies because they won't be changing, only the different scenarios. So we'll be able to see how balanced those scenarios are, how they play through. It's something that I kind of looked at and went, wow, I'd love to not only play through these, but to see these played through. Nobody else is doing that. Okay, I'm going to do that. What I would like to know, though, is there anything else that you would like to see me do? I've had a request on here for Necromunda battle reports a while ago. I did one Necromunda battle report. I'm not entirely happy with how that went. I'd like to take another crack at it. I need to get my Necromunda scenery painted, because that has been my hobby New Year's resolution for about the last 3 years now. Maybe me and my friends will sit down at some point and just have a mass blitz through getting all my Necromunda scenery painted so we can actually play some games on fully painted scenery tiles. But if that's something you'd like to see, please let me know in the comments below. If there's anything else you'd like to see more of, you'd like to see more Painter lore videos with me gibbering through the lore of ancient armies whilst cat-handedly painting something, let me know. If you'd like to see me gluing myself to get more scenery whilst trying to build it, please let me know. If you'd like to see more White Dwarf walkthroughs, if you've got a particular White Dwarf you'd like to see me reminisce my way through, let me know. That's kind of it, really, in terms of where I'm looking to go with this channel this year. More battle reports, more of the same in terms of more content talking about what excites me about this great hobby that we all share. There is one final teaser that I'm going to give to you for something that is coming later this year. There is something big coming later this year, and I'm not talking about the final playthrough of Tale of Four Gamers, which is coming! We're waiting for Murray to finish gallivanting around the world and actually be in the UK long enough so that we can all get together and play through the classic Tale of Four Gamers one-day event that was published way back in, I think, White Dwarf 221. We are going to play through that at some point. 221, 223. We are going to play through that at some point, probably March time, and then it'll be up on the channel later on towards the end of March, around Easter time. But that is not what I'm referring to. I shall give you only one clue as to what the something big coming later this year entails. It involves a train. All that being said, thank you everyone who's stuck with me this last year, everyone who's joined the channel, subscribed to the channel, all the lovely people who comment and support me. It makes me feel really nice to know that there are people out there watching who are enjoying listening to me excitedly gibber. I had a comment over on Facebook over the Christmas period, which I'm thinking of getting a t-shirt printed for, which someone looked at a picture I'd shared and went, "Ah, it's the Happy Smiley YouTube guy." Yes, I am the Happy Smiley YouTube guy. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. As ever, I shall catch you next time. Bye for now.